Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast. And nearly 6 years ago now, I was at Grand Prix Vancouver, spending time with my friend Jeremy Petter of Loading Ready Run. And I asked Jeremy, hey, what's your favorite format? And he said, Commander. And then he asked me, and I said, Draft. And I started thinking, wait a second, Commander, Draft, this could be awesome together. And I went to the office the next week with a pitch. Well, now it's been many years since then, and that pitch has evolved into a product, Commander Legends, and preview season is starting next week, and I'm so excited it's finally here. So I thought today I would run you through exactly how it's going to work and a little bit of what you can expect. Let's do it. First things first, let's talk about the draft. Every pack has 20 cards in it, and you're going to be taking 2 cards at a time for every pick. We did this for 2 main reasons. The first is just that it makes draft go a little bit faster. And actually, if you're drafting with fewer than 8 players in your pod, say a 5 or 4 person draft, it means that you don't see the same cards over and over and over again, which can make it feel a little monotonous. Second, Commander is often about cool combinations. So seeing 2 cards in a pack and being able to take them together is really, really cool, especially with Partner. There are 2 legendary creatures in every pack, so nabbing them both at the same time is a really cool moment. Now, I mentioned fewer than 8 player draft a moment ago, and just like Conspiracy before it, this format works fine even with fewer player numbers. We play tested it to work all the way down to 4 player draft. And even with 4 players, you still only use 3 packs apiece. Your decks will be totally fine. If you have 6, 7, or 8 people in your draft, I recommend drafting and then splitting into 2 games afterward. If you have 4 or 5 people in your draft, I recommend drafting and then playing 1 big game. And if you have 3 or fewer people, I recommend just playing sealed deck. And of course, only draft if it is safe to do so. Anyway, you've drafted and now you're on to deck building. You're going to build a commander deck with 2 differences. The first difference is that you only build a 60 card deck instead of a 100 card deck. The second difference is that the singleton rule does not apply. When it comes to deck size, we tried a lot of different deck sizes for this. 60, 80, and 100 were 3 of the big candidates. But there are 2 big reasons why we ended up on 60. The first is just accessibility. Accessibility of draft is very important to me, and if you needed 5 or even 6 packs to be able to draft this format, it could be pretty encumbering. This way you only need 3 packs. The second reason is set size and duplicates. You're either going to need a much larger set, which could be very difficult to balance, or you're going to have to be okay playing a lot more duplicates in your 100 card deck. An additional bonus of 60 cards? Most players know how to build a 60 card deck. For example, how many lands to put into it. With an 80 card deck, that isn't necessarily the case. Okay, now on to the singleton question. We did try it as singleton, of course, but it created some major feel-bads. Players would draft the second copy of a card they already had and then not realize it until they got to deck building. It puts the onus on the player to memorize every card they've drafted in a format where you draft more cards than usual. However, the singleton nature of Commander is very important. It makes the games feel different. So we made the set a little bit larger, including more commons, so you would be less likely to end up with duplicates. Additionally, there's even precedence for this. If you draft 5 or more copies of a card in a normal draft, you can play all of them. And so in Commander Draft, if you draft multiples of the same card, you can play all of them too. And fortunately, the draft still feels a lot like Singleton. Sometimes you might have duplicates of 1 or 2 cards in your deck, but for the most part, it'll feel a lot like you're playing 1 of every card. Now, one other thing about deck building worth noting. Just like normal Commander, your deck has to adhere to the Commander color identity rule, but you have to draft your commanders here. With 2 commanders in every pack, you will almost always have commanders that you can play just fine. But in case you don't, there's always the Prismatic Piper as a basic legend. And for more information on that, check out my video explaining the whole thing. Now, a really important thing for us is that once you start playing, it's just Commander as you know it. And that's exactly how it ended up here. 40 life, a commander you can cast from the command zone, commander damage, all the things you know about how Commander is played. Now, one thing which I think is probably worth noting in advance is that while the games feel a lot like Commander and how they play out, the power level of your deck is probably going to feel a lot different from what you're used to playing in a game of Commander, in the same way that a normal draft deck feels a lot different from a standard deck. And personally, I think that's a lot of fun. You get to play with some cards you might not normally otherwise and see some cool combos you might not normally put together. And to that end, I think it's worth noting that there are 4 non-evergreen mechanics in the set. It's not a mechanics palooza like, say, Modern Horizons. There are still a lot of sweet new cards here and plenty of awesome reprints, but you're not going to find, say, Cascade on a Retrace card here. When it comes to power level, that's a topic I personally am really sensitive to. I don't want to create a bunch of new staples that homogenize the format. So you'll find in this set, a lot of the commanders point you in very different directions than things you might have done in the past. One more thing I want to mention are the foil etched cards. This is a brand new treatment that's showing up with Commander Legends and shows up on every legendary creature in the set. You really have to see them to get the full effect, and I've got a video right here you can watch that'll show you exactly what one looks like. Additionally, besides just the legendary creatures in the set, we've brought in 32 reprint legends from Magic's history that are fan favorites. Now, I've seen a lot of speculation online that there being exactly 32 of these reprint legends means that there will be one for every possible commander color identity. And that's not quite right, but you'll have to wait until previews next week to see exactly how it shakes out. What I can tell you is that you can find these foil etched cards sometimes in draft booster packs and in every collector booster pack of Commander Legends. Next week is going to be wild. I'm breaking my normal 3 episode a week routine to instead do 5 episodes, one for every weekday. And in each of those episodes, I will have a preview card. So wake up every morning with Good Morning Magic and see what newness Commander Legends has in store. Additionally, this Friday, I'll be giving you 6 more hints about what you can expect in Commander Legends, so be sure to tune in. I hope that I survive all of this. I'll talk with you again on Friday for that episode. And in the meantime, may you get excited for Commander Legends. It's almost here. You got this. Hint number 1. In the set, there is a legendary creature that is simply named Ghost of previous legendary creature. So for example, if it was Squee, which it isn't because Squee can't die, it would be Ghost of Squee. Who could it be? Hint number 2. There is a card in the set which has art, and that art has only ever appeared on Magic Online. You may or may not know this, but we commission new art for